So let's talk about the history of this game, right? We've talked about XCOM, Enemy Unknown, or its various subtitles in different regions. XCOM, the original XCOM game. There are very few games from this era that are, not just games that I enjoy going back to, but games that became lifelong obsessions. The original XCOM is one of those. But, shortly after the release of the original XCOM, Microprose went to the creator of the game, Julian Gollop, and said, "We love XCOM so much that we want you to make a sequel, and we want you to make a sequel in 6 months." And Julian Gollop said, well, I have some ideas for a sequel to XCOM, but none of them can be done in 6 months, so sorry guys. So Mindscape, instead of being like, oh, okay, we'll wait for you to finish XCOM Apocalypse, was like, well, we'll just make our own. And so they decided to do a reskin of the original XCOM and just put everything underwater. So in the original XCOM, aliens are invading from space, and you have to intercept their UFOs, and then you have to go to the crash sites to take out the aliens and to acquire artifacts, and you research those things in order to gain access to new technologies that you use to fight more difficult aliens, and you ultimately challenge them on their base on Mars. So they just took all of that and they decided, well, what if instead the aliens were underwater and were like attacking shipping, and now you have to go under the sea and build undersea.
Right. Although you just kind of walk underwater, which is interesting.
Right.
To say the least.
It doesn't all work out mechanically, but it's for the most part, it is just a reskin of the original game with a few minor tweaks. And the creator of the original, Julian Gollop, is not enormously impressed with what they did here, because they made the difficulty a little bit higher, and some of the other tweaks resulted in some of the worst things about XCOM, like having that one alien left on the map who you can't kill because his morale is low, and so he's running away and you just can't find him, and you spend the next hour of your life just trying to hunt down like one guy. Things like that happen more frequently in TFTD. But they didn't totally break it. Like, they didn't totally break the formula here. So I love one of the things.
You better equip some guys.
Well, we don't have any extra. The demo's not giving us any extra equipment for the loadout screen here. We have some Nerf or I guess Super Soaker guns that these guys have equipped, and the art. I don't know. I like the sort of Marvel Comics inspired art that was in the original, and this one just kind of breaks that a little bit aesthetically. It makes everything very blue and very green and very yellow, and that is not my favorite. But it still has the great name generator, because you really do get attached to these people. Because they gain experience as you fight the aliens, and they rank up, and you want to have higher ranking people to up the morale of your team. And then one of them dies. You're like, oh no, Orsky, I loved you, Orsky.
Or Bodie McBokeface or
Bodie
whatever.
McBokeface, Rudy Metterow. I mean, it's just they have this great generator. This is not the best name generation I've seen. But usually it's very it's very ethnically diverse. You get Japanese and Chinese, and you get Eastern European.
And then fake. I think 40% is just...
Well, it's all good.
Fake sounding names, but that's okay. Yeah. Anyway.
So this mode of the game is called the Battlescape. And normally when you're playing the game, you would start out by building your first base, and then recruiting these guys and buying some equipment, and then you would intercept the aliens and then go into a mission. In the demo, they've kind of cut to the chase here, because you're not really going to have enough time to have the aliens.
Yeah, it's in the real game, you can like intercept the alien, and you're both moving, and you meet at a point. You can meet like at a dark point, and then you have really bad sight distance, and that's when the game gets really scary. Like, this is one of the few games really out there that actually scares me to play.
The actual game speed.
Mm-hmm.
So this game was designed for much slower machines, and it uses the same engine, obviously, as the original. And as a result, on even the fast Pentium machines, it can be just way too fast. And so this is a really speed-sensitive game. That's something to keep in mind if you want to revisit the XCOM games, the original XCOM games, and you should. The best way to do it is through the Open XCOM re-implementation of this game, because that will give you the proper speed on any system, and it plays, the new version plays both the original XCOM and Terror from the Deep. So this is our heavy weapons platform, which is rolled out of our space submarine, or I guess water plane. They probably could have done something a little bit different there. And he's just noticed that there is a dude over here who's pointed at us. Now, it would be great to just shoot at this guy, but if we try to do that, what's going to happen is that he is not going to get hit at all. Even if we do an aim shot from this distance, the chance of this actually hitting is basically zilch. Oh, yeah, the guys, we don't even have enough time units.
The guys will often somehow fire off at like a 45-degree angle from wherever you want it.
So this is what you need to know about XCOM. You're gonna miss. You're gonna miss a lot unless you're doing, aim shots, lots of TUs with leveled up, and got some return fire there. So what we want to do here is start bringing out some of our friends. We don't have enough time units on here to be able to do anything else. We only got like 21 left. So these games can be intimidating because the presentation is starting to get kind of long in the tooth, and this menu system doesn't have any tooltips or anything. And it looks like this is the button to make people climb ladders, and of course it's not. This is allowing you to see different strata of the game map. So we come down here, we can see into the ship. We're here, we're a level above it. We see the surface of the top of the ship, because everything here really it's isometric, it's all three-dimensional, and it can be deformed. If I shoot, I can blow up elements of the background here and change the game. I can use that tactically to sneak up on enemies. So there's a huge amount of depth in this game, as you would expect. If we pull out another guy, we can take him out here. He has not noticed the alien yet. Now he has. And he probably also has absolutely no chance of hitting anybody. But what we can do is we can have him take a knee here that'll make him a little bit less likely to get shot. And hope that if... maybe hide him behind here. And hope that if the alien does shoot at him, he'll get some reaction fire. The key to the XCOM games is to save up enough time units so that you can have an automatic reaction shot if the aliens shoot to you on their turn. That is the best way to go about things. But we'll probably just walk out and get shot a little bit here. So
yeah. And to clarify, when it gets really scary, is like your opponent, the aliens, also have a base, and at some point you have to go in these really tight corridors and open doors that might have 12 baddies behind them, so it gets pretty intense. We should probably make a disclaimer to our viewers that I think this game's a little bit dangerous to your health. Like, it's like one of those things where you'll sink a few days and
what happens is you're like, I'll just do one more mission. I'll just do one more. So I'm going to yield my turn to the aliens. So they're going to probably unload on me. Yeah, and thankfully... Oh, they hit my heavy weapons platform. And there's my reaction fire. It looked like it hit him. Now, that doesn't mean it actually hit him. It went through his square, and it showed that it hit him. But it could be a glancing blow. Oh, no, now there's a second guy on the map, too. Another friend has snuck around here. I wonder if this guy has line of sight on him, huh? But yeah, exactly. You can just lose your entire life in this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that, you'll forget to bathe. You'll eat only Totino's pizza.
This is the game.
Things can happen.
things can happen. Yeah, because there's this really great gameplay loop, right? We'll get through this battle, we'll recover some, alien bodies and artifacts and things like that. We'll research them, we'll get better weapons. We'll go to a new locale next time. We'll get more things. We can build a better base. Every year you're getting evaluated by like the governing body, by the UN, to determine how much funding you get. So you want to make sure that if the aliens launch a terror attack against one of the major cities in the world, that you're on the ground there and you're protecting civilians. And you get drawn into it very quickly. And all of your... see, this is what normally happens when you shoot things. Exactly. That's an aim shot while kneeling, too. But it is at quite a distance. So it's not too surprising. So, have you played a lot of Terror from the Deep? Or have you mostly played the original XCOM? Like, what's been your experience?
I mean, I played this the most. I think the other XCOM came up earlier, even though the game was older. But I enjoyed this one a lot, especially the music and the sound, which I'm not sure. Is it that I can't hear it, or you're not playing it?
It's very faint. If it's too...
Because I love all the noises because they sound kind of like movie sound effects.
Yeah, it's sort of like the Jaws soundtrack. Duh, duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just comes out. I mean, that's sort of in keeping with the original game's soundtrack as well. It's atmospheric and it's just supposed to fill you with dread. One of the great things about the original game is that there are so many. I mean, you don't have to always fight night missions. Sometimes you have to because the aliens do a terror attack at night or something like that. But you can wait for the Earth to rotate and then try to go to a crash site during the day, so you don't have to try to fight at night. But fighting at night with that, atmospheric soundtrack in the original XCOM is one of the great things, because things pop out at you in the dark. You have flares that you can throw out to try to reveal terrain. But, generally your squad's coming out of the, coming out and just getting shot at from every angle. You can't see what's going on. And you have to try to, go into cover, reveal the terrain, figure out where you're going to go and secure different areas. And it really can get your heart pounding. There's a little bit less of that. I mean, obviously there's a lot of unrevealed terrain here, but the day-night cycle is less obvious in Terror from the Deep because it's in the ocean. But it's still XCOM, so it's still very, very compelling. But we don't need to go through all of this.
Aww.
Well,
I thought you were gonna keep playing it. By the end of the video, your son will be grown and going off to college.
That's right. All my beard will come in. Yeah. I should have like a little stage beard that I can like tape on, do a cut, and they'll be like, but I don't think the demo lets you do much more than play that. It's just giving you a screen showing you some of the like things that you can research.
Yeah, it's that part of the game that I don't know. It's like,
and there is some above water segments as well. Here's Easter Island.
There's a lot of sort of management of resources and research that I don't know. That's kind of hard to me because you just want to blow up aliens, but it is what
you do. But you want to blow up aliens with like fusion bombs and interesting things and plasma rifles, and not just going at them with shotguns and pistols. Not that that's what you use in this game. In this game, you're using all underwater, as I said, Super Soaker inspired weaponry. So this game came out in February of '95, quite some time after the original game, but it's going to be quite some time yet until we get a true sequel to the original XCOM in the form of XCOM Apocalypse, but we will play that hopefully in 1997.